Hi everyone, how are you? I hope you like my new Dollar Tree find. And yes, my desk has a lot of scratches on the surface, and that is because it's a really nice desk. I had gotten it from Goodwill for just a steal, like $24.99, like I think 5 years ago. It's a nice, cherry wood laminate with the shelves and everything. Um, it's a big mess. I'd show you a little more. I can show you. See, it's okay. So it's one of these desks with the frosted um shelves. My hat, my witch hat. Um, so it's big. It's a computer desk, and it's worked for a long time. But the reason why it was there, it was like an Office Depot. One of the desks was like $500, but it was a Goodwill for $24.99 because this top is all scratched to heck. And I put like a cherry tone marker in a lot of the big gouges and stuff to kind of make it less noticeable, but it's still really noticeable. And my dream would be to see how that mug I have right there is resin. Wouldn't it be cool to make this surface like all resin like that? Because that's fabric with plastic over it. So to get like something like that print that, kind of really like, I don't know, like 1800s ish kind of feel to it, and put it here and then just put, plastic over it. The thing that makes it complicated is the area most closest to me is curved. So, you can put like a desk mat on and stuff, but when you've got a curve, it really makes it hassle. So anyway, sorry about all the scratches on my desk you have to see when I'm in the light of day. I'm recording in the light of day, which does not happen often because I usually don't have any time to myself, but now that the weather is a little bit cooler and stuff, I do. And so, over the weekend, I had done part one of the commentary of the Watts Tragedy pretend show that they did on HULU. And it's ridiculous because it's nothing but bull. Those are not her friends. Those were her other MLM love bombers. That's it. Okay? MLMers do a thing called love bombing. I probably can't even say that word on, so it's probably like BOM asterisk BIMG because it's not real. They're sitting there trying to build you up so that you'll buy more and you'll sell more and you'll be inspired to sell more. And I mean, if there was a car dealer convention and they're sitting there telling you, how to really get these people in and grab your manager when you're feeling like they're getting ready to escape, just, would you be like, oh, wow, all of his car dealer friends really were so proud of the way that he sold cars and really got people fucked over every time they came in? I mean, there'd be women with children, and I mean, he would fuck them in the ass and give them the worst car ever. I mean, if the thing could drip lemonade as it was going out, it was that big of a lemon, and he screwed them into getting that. That's what we're talking about. When we have these MLM cohorts of hers sitting there trying to make up stories of who they thought that she was when she was in chapter 5 or 6 of her life, they didn't know her. She was doing what she could so that she could get vacation, so that she could live that lifestyle that she loved, that she felt alive, that she felt herself most at, that she missed and was stopped when she needed to get the fuck out of town. So, anyway, I started that and I uploaded it. And within about an hour, the final Lasso group got me. Lasso group loves to shut down Watts creators. It's their favorite thing to do. And so they got me. They did not strike me, but they did me on a copyright. And I am pissed off because I am not, technologically adept. And so I had put my little sign up that said fair use. And I made sure that I said, this is what I was doing, and that I was following all 4 factors of the fair use disclaimer in Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. I did everything right. I did not talk for, you guys can see that I talk for the majority of it, and that's just part one. I think I got like 20 minutes before the storm hit, and I think it's like an hour and 20-minute video, right? So I was well within my rights for fair use. And so I couldn't get it back up, couldn't see how to appeal. And my husband has been trying to bring me into the 20th century or 21st century. I don't know what it is. He's been trying to get me a laptop for a while to try and get me back onto a computer, because when I had gotten laid off at the beginning of the pandemic, I didn't have an office. I wasn't at my job. I didn't need a computer anymore. And I started doing everything by my phone. There wasn't much I needed to do. Things I started redoing, I started doing everything by my phone. And so that's all I've been doing to this point, is just, doing my videos and everything on my phone and YouTube. And so, I had gotten the instructions from a friend, a couple of followers here, friends, sent me a couple of things to show me how to fight it, and one of my friends said, oh, it's the lasso group, which gave me the, okay, what is the lasso group? So then I broke it down, and it's like, okay, I've heard of it referred to, and I understand, and now I see, and I looked into them, and sure enough, they're the ones that come after everybody's videos that's doing Watts. But it's not just Watts, to be fair. It seems like they're a group that's just trying to make a buck on anything that they can say is copyrighted. So then, they are retained by certain people, and that I've long suspected that the kangaroos and the armadillo group, that he worked for, I think both of them have retained counsel through YouTube to make sure that there's just enough that they can get things taken down for whatever reason they can find. So, a week ago, my husband was kind enough to order me a laptop, and I promised him that, I was like, at some point I'll probably get monetized and I'll be able to pay for my own gas, not have to ask you for gas money, and I will pay you back for my laptop. That's my promise to you. So I hope that at some point I can come through with that, because I feel like this is a cost that shouldn't have affected my family in the way that it did. And I should have been able to continue to do things on my phone, but unfortunately there are just these things, and this was one of them. So I got my laptop out of the box, works a little better that way, and sure enough, when I went to YouTube Studio, it showed me exactly what the Lasso group had said, and how to appeal it. Those things are not on the app, not on the phone, not visible whatsoever. The way that I can see things on the laptop, or probably on a regular computer, versus my app are two totally different things. So that I think that my channel will start to look a little bit better just because I can see things better. And all it was, when I was able to look at it, is they had a problem with something at the 1902 mark. I think it was the 1902 to 2014, 20 minutes and 14. So it was like 65 seconds, something like that. And I had the option, okay, here it is, from 19 minutes and 2 seconds to 20 minutes and 14 seconds. So these assholes shut me down for, 60 seconds? 68 seconds? I don't know, 60, 70, 72 seconds. So they had the option there to just pull that part out and accept that as my punishment. That, they can, if they pull that out, then they rebuff the whole video taking that out. And so there is going to be that probably one part, where my words don't mesh together, or I haven't been able to review it to see where it spliced it out. But I'm sorry for the confusion in that. That's the Lasso group, and I'm not going to let them shut me down. I'm not going to let them bully me. I know that I was well within my rights, and I believe that if these documentaries were coming out and telling the truth, we would not have the problems that we do. Right now, we have a whole entire world saying that CW is this monster, and he went for this hot little piece when his darling little pregnant wife with her pregnant with the third child, just went to go and see her mommy and daddy. And that's fucking bullshit, and I'm sick of the dialogue. If these things were true, all of these people out here would not be wondering, because whether or not they are conscious of it or not, their brain is not filing it, because what they can see and what they can hear is not adding up. I love this band called Rammstein, German hard metal and pyrotechnics and whatnot. And I was so lucky, was lucky enough to be able to see them when they just did their United States tour. And so because I watched their videos, which they're all in German, and no, I don't speak German. I just think that their songs are hilarious when you can figure out what they're saying and whatnot. And I mean, the one that they do halfway through, half English, is quite, poetic. It goes, "I've got a dick and you've got a pussy, let's get laid. I've got a dick and you've got a pussy, let's get laid." I mean, it's just poetry at its best. And so they have this big dick thing, and it comes out and it shoots water all over the crowd. And they had to modify the way that it looked, because when they first came out with the big dick in Germany, right after they came off stage, they were all arrested and put in jail. And these are like 70-year-old guys. They've been doing this act for like 20 years. And so they had to modify what the dick looks like. So, like, I didn't know. I'm like, is that a blimp? What? And then like, oh, okay. Because I didn't really know much about them. But, my husband is a disabled vet. And as a veteran, there is this group, and they give leftover tickets to veterans. You sign up on this site. So if you are married to a veteran or you are a veteran, please go to VetTix. It is the coolest freaking thing ever, because my man gave up his good years where he could have went to concerts and whatnot, and was serving our country, and he was one of the first over there in 9/11, and he came back different. And we've gotten through that, and it's just nice to have just a little taste of something that we can't afford to go to. So we had these tickets, and my friend had been talking about them forever, and her friend was driving up a couple of states over to get to this concert where we were going to be. And so I was like, hey, is it good? She's like, it's Naked Men and Fire. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go. So I went and told my husband, I was like, hey, that Rammstein, that you were saying that there was stuff. He's like, yeah, the one that you said you didn't want to go to. I'm like, I want to go now. And he's like, why? And I'm like, Naked Men and Fire? And he's like, what's wrong with you? What? Well, now I don't want to go. And I'm like, we're going, motherfucker, we're going. And I mean, it is freaking incredible. Just Google their videos. And so like I say, go to VetTix. They also donate tickets to first responders. So there's like a lot of things right now. They're doing a really good job of, when there are leftover tickets for events, giving them to those of us that can't afford it but would love it. You have to pay fees, so I think it's like usually like $4 a person or whatever. So what, right? And so I'm watching their videos, and I'm trying to translate. I'm going to learn German so I can learn their songs and really understand more about this, because like I say, it's so poignant what they sing about. But I mean, they have the best pyrotechnics. Like, I usually get so overstimulated at a concert, I have really bad PTSD, and I don't like people around me on any given day. And so like sitting during the pandemic, it was my glory days, because people weren't near me, and I could be like, get the fuck out of my bubble, okay? Because I require a bubble around me, like the space of what a telephone booth would be. Some of you young folks don't know what a telephone booth was, but I like to have like a telephone booth space around me, and that was before the pandemic. And so I usually, at a concert, I'll have to like, just go and like go out in like the food area and stuff and just kind of be by myself for like, 20 minutes or whatever. Oh no, I didn't want to miss a minute. It was so incredible. The pyrotechnics, I mean, just freaking incredible. Check them out. So anyway, since I've been doing that, now I'm getting all of these Chris Watts videos in German. So they've got German creators, and all you can hear them is, they're really focused on the oxycodone component to this, and they're saying that Chris gave her oxycodone, which created a coffin birth. Those words I can understand, and then I go through and I translate some of the comments and stuff, and I put in some of the facts because I'm like, no. That is not what happened. It didn't happen that way. It did not happen. And so that's where, I got slapped with that. That video is back up. The long and the short story of that. So please check that video out. Give it some love while it's still up. It'll probably be taken down. I'm going to try and get through more parts of it as I can. Here and then, and just kind of break it up, and then then whatever the asshole group takes out, then it won't be as bad if I keep just kind of putting it in sections and stuff. But it's time that the truth is out. And now the confusion on the last video, I did have people putting in things like, oh well, he was not Italian, or this and that. It's like, I totally know, guys, but I was in the story time mode, and I told you this is an 80-20 channel. It could be 80% truth and 20% malarkey, or it could be 80% malarkey and 20% truth. And I'm not going to tell you. You're going to have to figure it out, because I don't want to get sued, and I don't want them freaking ruse coming and killing me in the night, okay? So I don't want to get sued. I have to be very careful, because there's been a lot of creators that have came and went before me, and I want to be here to stay to bring the truth, because I think that it's high time that it comes out. And on that note, I put up some of the really interesting episodes, as the Dirty South did have a little kind of TV show, kind of a little reality YouTube show, and they had the 4 episodes. I put those up on my community post. I don't know if they're still there for you, as they only last 24 hours. I did put the video also up where her beautiful home was in the back. And now I got jumped a lot where it was like people were saying that, no, she didn't do this and blah, 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 blah. I was not talking about the point in which she had become a parent. Okay. I am talking about in that last video when she was queen of the Dirty South and she was living the high life, because it's important to look at that aspect of who she was to understand who she became and how and why we are right here now. Okay. So when I'm referring to her in enduring terms and not calling her some of the other, things, that refer to the behavior around children, because that's where it's very problematic. I'm not changing sides like some people I know. I'm saying that I was looking at her in that time when she was queen of the Dirty South, when she was on top of the world, when she had her daddy back wrapped around her finger. She was at work with daddy. They were making a lot of money, and she was on top of the world. She owned a beautiful house, and that beautiful house right now, is worth like 800. So when I was on this creator's channel who doesn't remember me, and she jumped my ass for saying that it was a beautiful house that she had, and the creator who doesn't remember me said, have you ever seen it? And I was like, well, I thought I saw a picture. Am I wrong? Well, if you think that's beautiful, yeah, I fucking do think that's beautiful. That was a beautiful house. And I mean, it like I say, right now in today's dollars, it's appraising for, $680 to $800. That's not some slum. So I'm sorry that person who doesn't remember me enjoyed patronizing me so much that they're having a very hard time getting anybody else up to go on that panel, because I went and I was on the panel and I was up there for 6-8 hours. If you combine the one night I was on for like 4 or 5 hours in the marathon, the other 2 and whatever. and she's so famous that she doesn't even remember me. But I'm telling you, no one else wants to go up there because I have an email box full of people saying I was really brave because I was being spoken down to, and I stayed and held my ground to try and show that, you know what, I'm a person. I'm not, you know, a freaking welcome mat. Don't stomp all over me. But anyway, I am finding that there is no way that you can have 4 years of content on this topic. What can you honestly say that hasn't been said? Okay? That's why all they do now is fight with each other back and forth and back and forth. And I am shocked at how much time they waste on other people talking about this person and that person and this person. And then they want everybody to be all riled up against this person and that person and saying how wrong they are. And then they're like, well, I think that I like them today. Yeah, and actually, I'm going to read what they say because they've got some real good points. When you're the person who sat there and exposed their criminal record and talked about what dirty, slimy people they are for how many freaking years, and now you want to say they've got some valid points when you made them the butt of your joke for 4 years. I don't get it. And I don't want to be like that. And so, although, I'm aware of all of everything that's going on and whatnot, I don't really want to know about it. If you hear my name being brought up, you hear me being doxxed, and it's like a legal issue, and it's something that I should know, please tell me in an email. Otherwise, I don't want to know. I don't want to be in that. I've already been, I was baptized by fire coming on here to be a creator. I would have been happy to have just been her bitch, I would have just been just another person that, wastes all their time and energy for nothing and never gets a frickin' thank you. And, I would have been fine to be the frickin', Ed McMahon to her Johnny Carson, but I would have never seen what I've seen on my own because I made the mistake of taking what that person said as being credible because I felt that that person had valid credentials. And now that I have been falsely accused of being untrustworthy, of not existing in the first place, and being a scumbag attacker, of which I am none of, and she damn well knows better because I sent her emails of exactly who I am and some examples of my work that if she was in the position that she said that she was, in the stated profession that she said that she was, she would have known who I was talking about and who the pictures were of me with them. And I did that on the first night. And then when I needed to take some personal time off the internet and away from life in general, to know that my name and my, I was being mocked and whatnot and laughed about for not being around. And, oh, that proves I'm a scumbag attacker. No, bitch, I told you that I needed to take some time off because something terrible happened to me. And in the field that you're in, I think that you might be a little bit more, sensitive to things that happen to people, but I'm really, like I say, never meet your heroes, because once you take off that cape and once you walk by and you take you pull back that curtain, you see that they're just a poser. And I took things that person said and went with them, and now that I have went to go and see this for myself and track down where these things came from, I have had to say, like, Baby Wise, that's where I heard that Baby Wise was Baby Wise. Oh, come on. You guys have all heard that, how I went to the source. That's what they teach you when you're in graduate school. And there are certain degrees that there are at graduate school that there are, and there are certain things at graduate school that there are not. And one of them is not what is being said that one is. And so it just makes you wonder because, when you when you're obtaining your higher education, they teach you to go and cite your sources, and that not everything on the internet is true. And so if you went to school, 50 years ago or whatever, and the internet wasn't a thing, you needed to make sure that the books that you were reading that were on that topic were relevant. You couldn't go and, go and take, maybe you could cite something from Time magazine, but you couldn't necessarily put something in from the Inquirer. Just like today, you can put something in a peer-reviewed journal, but you can't really put what's in Wikipedia. And so I've had to kind of come back and look at things, and I explain to you guys how I do or do not see things in the way that I once did and why. And it doesn't mean that if you see it in the way that the other creator or the other creators see it, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that, well, I've went and done my own research, then this is what I've seen and whatnot. And when I come on and I give you my content, I have spent, a minimum of 12 hours getting my dialogue correct so that I'm not wasting any of your time. I don't want to sit there and create my content and waste your guys' time, for 10, 12 hour marathon things when you guys have a life. I want to always be sure to respect your time, and I am so grateful for your time and support. And I always want to make sure that the time that you spend with me listening gives you something back, because I feel bad for taking something that I can't give you back. And for that, I'll always try to, make sure that it's good information. So with that in mind, I am going to talk about a couple of other hot news topics in other skanks that shouldn't have bred. Maybe that's the new, that's what my title should be. My my whole existence in doing web creation. Skanks that shouldn't have bred. Episode 1. Here we go. So, anywho. And as we go here, as stated on the last one, on the video before, I did not put this up. And so, unfortunately, I had gotten a big twat brigade. And as I did not have my no twats allowed. Okay, if you're a freaking big, hairy, smelly twat and you want to come in here and say stupid things in the comments and tell me this and tell me that and call me this and call me that, go away. This is a twat-free environment, okay? There are no twats on Twats Island, okay? If you are a TW, a truth warrior, if you're trying to find the truth too and getting to the bottom of it, if you're a TW, you can stay. But if you have a TWAT, you can't. And because I did not put this sign up once, I got a whole nest of them coming at me. And it's like, I am sorry, I did not put my no twat sign up. My bad. Okay. Now, my disclaimer. I know that there are so many other channels on YouTube, okay? I am certainly not the only one. I'm not the best one. I'm not the worst one. But I have a lot of things that I say that other people do not agree with, and I have a very, very filthy potty mouth, okay? I married a sailor, and he is disgusted with my mouth. I don't know why I swear as much as I do, but I really do. And I've read that the more you swear, it's a really high sign of great intelligence and character. And so that's apparently what it means. So if you are offended by cuss words and everything, don't listen to me. Don't. And if you are under 18, do not listen to me. Just don't. And if you are offended by satirical humor implanted where it may not be exactly appropriate, as we are talking about true crime, do not listen to me. I have blended drama and crime into a true crime channel. And so my channel is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I hope that I'm providing a teaching opportunity. And I am not mom shaming. I am providing advocacy in addressing potentially abusive and harmful behavior to prevent future abuse, as the people who I talk about, and there will be 3 skank asses that I'm going to talk about, and you can figure out which 3 they are. They were public figures, and they are public figures, and therefore I have the right to discuss them. And I need to run to the ladies' room. Ladies' room break. Everybody take a quick break. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Do, 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 do. Okay? Yep. What are you doing? Okay. All right. I'm back. Has everybody gotten a drink and peed? Okay. Maybe the drink will make you pee. Okay. So, with all of our disclaimers and no twats allowed, a drink and peed, here we go, friends. All right. So, y'all know about Dray McRae, right? Slaying with Dray McRae. She actually is right now being talked about because it is rumored that they let Vaughn come home for her to take care of. Now, she's been quiet. We don't know if it's true. And then the other prong of that rumor is that she couldn't do it and put him back in a home. So, I would like to think that she's not taking care of him and that there are people involved in the situation that would say that that's a very dangerous thing to do. But given the fact that no less than 8 doctors in the first week said that there is no possibility of him ever coming out of this vegetative state from his extreme anoxic injury, I am sure that there's probably about 30 doctors who have now told her that. A little, if you're not sure who I'm talking about, I'm talking about Andrea McRae, McCray. She is a really, really good makeup artist. She looks like a goose. Like when she wakes up, she looks like a goose. She said that, you know, her older sisters were really beautiful and she didn't feel beautiful. And so she went to, you know, learn how to do her makeup so that she could become beautiful. And her passion was to make other women feel beautiful. And I'm telling you, this chick, she looks like Mother Goose with no makeup. I'm not even kidding. Mother freaking Goose. And she was heavy set. I mean, like, not like you would say fat, but just heavier. But I think she was prettier when she had a little weight on her, because she goes from Mother Goose to frickin' Madonna, Marilyn Monroe, Lady Gaga. I mean, all of these looks that she can do are incredible. And she could do characters. And so, I mean, like Halloween makeup and stuff. And I don't know how far she went with that career. I don't know if she went, you know, to cosmetology school and then she, you know, worked in it or whatnot. But she built up this web following for herself for her makeup channel. And rightly so. I mean, I don't know how to put on my makeup. I really need makeup, but I wear makeup, a handful of times a year. I'm not good at it at all. It looks a lot worse by the time I'm done. I pretty much I don't know how to do makeup at all. I suck. But, I mean, she is a wizard at her freaking makeup. And so she was a single mom of two girls. She calls them Boo and Bella. And she was living with her mom, and she was saying that, she's on welfare and Section 8 and all of that, and really struggling as a single mom. And she started her makeup channel, and she amassed like 200,000. I heard somebody say that the other night, that she had amassed, like 200,000 on her own for her makeup channel. And she met a man named Marvin McRae. So when I'm saying her name McRae, that's her married name right now. That's her accurate married name. She married this man, a Marine named Marvin, and I believe his middle name is Therese as well, because that's what he named his son. So Marvin McRae, and he goes by Vaughn. Okay, so if you'll see the things out there going justice for Vaughn, that's what we're talking about. And so she started selling paparazzi jewelry. And because she already had this huge base for her makeup, she was able to start selling to her crowd, and she did amazing because she took, that 200,000 that she had as close friends, and was selling them paparazzi jewelry. And when paparazzi first came out, it was really, really cute. It sold itself on the, well, now we know that's not true, of being lead free and nickel free, and that's really hard to find for that price point. But the jewelry was really cute, right? Well, she went up, and I think that she made it into like the 0.1%. I think that I heard 0.1% or something. I mean, she was up there, all the way up there at paparazzi, where she was making a minimum of $50,000 a month. She went from welfare, living in like a communal home, Section 8, mom living with her and whatnot as a single mom, to making $50,000 a month in the MLM. And she had so much of a downline that she didn't even have to sell anymore. She had to spend about $150 a month to stay active. So she'd have to buy, 50 pieces and sell those. But she was making $50,000 a month from her downline. Can you even imagine? Can you imagine getting checks for $50,000 a month? I mean, that's just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. So she married Marvin. He is rumored to have gotten out of the Marines for PTSD. That's rumored, alleged. Don't come for me. It makes sense as to what we're dealing with right now, that would be true as opposed to being false. And he and her were really cute together. She would put them, she'd like do this makeup and stuff and make him look like an old man, and she'd look like an old woman, and they would just be so into each other, this old man and old woman, with her makeup transformations of them. And I mean, there's some really cute stuff out there that you can see. But then she started getting weird. Now, her dog, her mom, her daughter, and Vaughn started having seizures. Okay? Now, I talked about this in another video and the possibilities of why that could be, and I'm not going to do that right in this video. You can check out my other video and see my hypothesis on that, because you could say, well, it's a family thing. Oh, no, because Vaughn is not the bio dad of the girl, and the mom would be of no relation to them, and the dog is probably not blood related to any of them. But once they got out of that house, they didn't have the seizures anymore. But Dray was pretty much obsessed with Vaughn. I mean, we are talking the kind of love where she loved Vaughn so much she would go and pick the corn out of his turds. I mean, she loved this man. And it's like an obsessive love. Like, if you look at it, it's not a healthy love. And what was coming out, because then she was like on screen, acting like, they were so in love and so in love, and nothing had come between them and everything. And they had a baby, and they named him Toraz. She calls him Raza, so it's like Toraz. Well, Vaughn came from a little bit of troubled, not he wasn't in trouble, but from a troubled upbringing. His mom was a teenage mom, and she couldn't afford to raise him. He had other siblings and whatnot, and so she let the grandparents raise him. Okay, that is neither here nor there. That's what happened. And as he went on in his life, and he got married to Dray, he started trying to talk to his bio mom a little bit. His stepfather was very abusive. There's not a lot of information about if he had any strife with his father or not. But he loved the grandma that raised him. Now, Dray started getting obsessive and how to heal him from these seizures, okay? She became as obsessive about him as she did with natural healing, okay? And she began to call herself a doctor, and namely his doctor. So she started getting all of these teas and tinctures and herbs and alkaline water. And I guess the alkaline water is like $2,000 a freaking month. I had no idea. She started reading all these books from this Dr. Sabi, and he's not alive. But he, has the big headlines for like the cure for herpes and whatnot, living this alkaline diet, this vegetarian, alkaline, nothing that came from, anything living. She doesn't even eat chicken's eggs. She has chickens and loves the chickens, and she has her dogs, but she doesn't eat the eggs of the chicken or anything. So it is very, very much, she uses spices, and pretty much that's it. If you watch her trying to cook and trying to sell what she's cooking, you would just barf, because it's like she'll say, oh yeah, I'm gonna make fried rice. Oh yeah, so some rice from yesterday. Oh yeah, I'm gonna put this in here. Oh yeah. And she starts putting in this rice, and then like 7 pounds of like onion powder and some granulated garlic, another, container or two of that, and then almost sets the house on fire and stuff. And then starts saying that, oh yeah, and you add some water in that, and then that becomes a tea in this. And oh my God. And she sits there and would spend hours and hours making this horrible food and drinking these 2 gallons of this alkaline water, which is $2,000 a month, which I did not know. And I heard that yesterday from another creator. And I'll pop her video up on my community page, because she explained it better than I am right now. But my God, she lost all of this weight, and she lost the kind of weight where, you can see like the lymph nodes, are like the fattest part of her right now. And so then she's starving. She is absolutely starving, because then she'll sit there and be talking, and like she'll grab food with her hands and stuff, and like be eating like this primal animal, and just you see all of the like lymph nodes popping out and everything, and she's just grabbing by her hands and everything, and then she serves this shit with her hands to everybody at the table, and they've been waiting 5 hours, and these kids are just starved. Because they've been waiting 5 hours and smelling, the spices that she's been putting on and whatnot. And in between, she's given everybody a little bit of that special K tea. The one that rhymes with Ratum, but it's with a K. Yeah. And so then with the Ratum tea, she was putting in all of this other crap with it. Okay. And so Vaughn and her have a Raza. And she believes in homeschooling her kids. And this is a kid who needs stimulation. Okay, this is a kid who's a little bit on the busy side. But once again, just like how we talk about Cece, it's not the child's fault. It's the child is bored as fuck and needs the stimulation of a preschool, of school, of friends, of interaction, of toys, of going places, of climbing, of making mud pies. But no, she doesn't do anything, but she has him just go around on her crazy days buying bags and bags of these herbs and talking about it. And so she is giving this kid that tea. And she says that she's just giving him the passion flower tea. Right? She says, oh, she just gives it to him every once in a while. Well, cute little Raza's like, no, you give me passion flower every day. She's like, no, I don't. Yes, you do. And in this video that I just saw, I saw a little clip, and she's pimping all of these spices and stuff too, because she's a saleswoman. She's always selling something, whether it's the paparazzi, whether it's this, she's selling so that then she gets the discount. She's a wheeler dealer. She's doing this. And I mean, she's making a freaking empire, right? Well, she decided that what the VA was saying to stop Vaughn's seizures, because he continued to have them, was not good. She decided that, Dr. Stubby said that the whole world is out to get you, that basically the foods that are out there make you sick, and then the drug industry is in the same bed as the food industry, and they make you sick, and then they make all this money. And so she wasn't going to have it. She was going to be his doctor, and she was going to get him healed. And so she's showing these teas that she is making him. And not only is she like making these gallons and gallons of weird ass tea and shit, she's making him bathe in the tea. Okay? She's making bathtubs full, and then these big gallons full to soak his feet into too. And so he's like, you see Marvon, who was this good looking Marine, kind of happy, had some moves when he danced and everything, to looking emaciated like her, to the biggest piece of fat is the lymph nodes in his face. And he doesn't look good. He looks like he's starving. And they had this thing, and she's talking about the herbs and everything. And she's like, you know what, for some people, that need to calm down, and they have a little bit of ADD, and they have ADHD and stuff, you don't give them what the doctors are giving them. You give them some passion flower. You give them some passion flower tea. And Vaughn goes, what's ADD? What's drugs for ADD? What are you talking about? And this is where it's problematic, because he was not very sophisticated in understanding probably what she was giving the little boy right now, because she's giving him this shit. He's 7 years old wearing pull-ups. He's not fully potty trained at 7 years old, because she was obsessed with him. And in her obsession, what was really going on is that he was becoming very, very controlled, criticized, abused, and he wanted out. And she had all of his money and his balls in a jar, just like the other women we're talking about. And he wanted a little bit of money for himself, but she wouldn't let him. So he ran away. She wouldn't let him have motel money. Yeah. The fights that are coming out that are recorded, oh my God. He is threatening unaliving himself in front of the kids. And they are just screaming right back and forth. And she is correcting him and saying, Vonnie, what you've just said in front of the kids is not appropriate, okay? You cannot tell them that you're going to unalive themselves by the morning. That is not right to do. Rather than looking at him as that he needed help, and he needed the VA, and he needed to be inpatient VA, and he didn't need her being the doctor saying you don't need the VA, because the VA does have very specialized services for our troops that have came home with PTSD. You might have to fight for them. It might not be the best, but it's the best of the worst. And they do know how to help. But she was like, no, Vonnie, I'll help you. Dip your feet in these and then bathe. And then I'm going to give you 10 gallons of tea and all of this. And it reached a fever pitch. And he came over. She heard him come in. She went and did something, whatever, right? They have a little shed in the backyard. Well, as the story goes, she found him hanging. And she cut him down. And she called 911. Asterisk here. This was the 20th time she'd called 911. She'd been calling 911 on him all the time because, when he was coming off of Xanax and everything, she didn't like the way that he was talking and everything, but the Xanax wasn't prescribed for him. She had went to Mexico and smuggled some Xanax for him because she's Dr. Dray, right? If anybody should be charged with practicing without a medical license, like our little friend over there in Young Living, see how everything comes full circle when I talk to you? You bet. We got another one of these old weirdos doing this. So anyway, she cut him down. He didn't have a pulse. She talked to the 911 operators. They talked her through. She cut him down. She cut him down. She cut him down. Now there's some questions in the way that she cut him down, how she could have gotten up and cut him down. There's no fraying on the tie. Her hands were cold. She was very calm. There's a lot of questions around what happened. Was he really hanging or was he being yeah. Yeah. So 911 operator talks her through giving CPR, and she gave it with everything that she could. And she was screaming out for Jehovah because she's a Jehovah's Witness, so she talks about Jehovah all the time. And she says, Jehovah wants this, Jehovah wants that, Jehovah help me now. And Jehovah did get involved, and by the time the paramedics got there, they also found that he did not have a pulse, but they did ultimately get one. And when she talked to the police, like they said, they commented on her hands were very cold, which may be because she's in the throes of death. She looks like she's starving. She is not healthy. And you know how those people start, when they're doing all the keto and stuff, they smell like dead hamster shit. They have a terrible breath and their eyes are all bugged out and they're just really hungry. Like, they just can't. When Oprah did the keto diet, she did it for like the Grammys or whatever, and then on her limo ride on the way back afterwards, she was like, take me to KFC to get me some biscuits because I can't handle this anymore. And that's what they all look like. Marvon wants some freaking biscuits. So anyway, he gets to the hospital and it is determined indeed that he had went 30 minutes without oxygen. That is a massive, massive brain injury. Massive. There really isn't a way for him to come back from that, but because she thinks that Jehovah does everything for a reason, and he just might, Jehovah had her watch this one episode of this one Rescue 911 where the parents had been told that their kid was going to be in a vegetative state all of his life because of, he was drowning and blah, 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 and he is fully healed now, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Children heal a lot differently than adults. And it sounded like it was a drowning that she had seen. And if it was a cold water drowning, oxygen injury, that's a hell of a lot different than a man hanging himself or somebody being strangled with a rope. Anyway, so he gets taken to the hospital, ultimately to the VA, and she decides that she doesn't like what they're doing. His lungs were collapsed. He had lost, control of his bowels and bladder and everything, during whatnot. So he was actively dying dead. And so they give him a pneumothorax. I think that probably some of his ribs were broken in the CPR. It kind of sounds like something needed to be repaired in there so they, put a chest tube in and, a feeding tube. And she's in there telling them that they're not giving him enough water. that he needs her alkaline water and everything, and that, you know, she's fighting with all of them, and she's doing this. This is her best role. This is the role she's waited for all of her life. Dray McRae has waited for this role. She goes and she spends about, 17 hours putting on the makeup and the hair and everything, and then goes and puts these clumpy ass heels in and goes down and terrorizes every nurse and doctor in the hospital to go and give her man some more water. She's like, can't I get this man some water? I gotta get this man some water. Because she doesn't think that he's getting enough water in his feeding tube to heal him. And because of the whole COVID and everything and that, they say that she can't kiss him or whatever. So she waits till they're not looking and then spits on him because she believes that her DNA in her spit can talk to him. And her spit that she rubbed all over his head and everything was saying, I love you, I want you to come back. So she did that. And yeah, she's just fighting with the doctors, fighting with the VA, fighting with all the staff, recording the fighting. And she'd been recording fighting that she'd been having from medical professionals before. It's kind of her thing. She really wanted to act like she was something special. Now, she is out there purporting that she is a doctor, Dr. Dray McRae. Now, let's look at her one patient. Her one patient is in a vegetative state, not expected to live. So please, my friends, if you are looking at Dray McRae, please, take her makeup advice, but do not take her health advice. And now, as I am a little on the heavy side, the pandemic has not been kind to me because, I am not moving around like I was. I have gained weight, and I look at some of the things too. I look at the SW stuff she was pimping too, and I'm like, gosh, maybe I should. But then I see, was it Christina that was on that channel? And her massive freaking ass in this big, huge black and white dress that she is wearing, and they have to frickin' say, are you with Thrive? Because they can't even tell she was, because it was supposed to be a weight loss supplement, remember? How would you wash that undercarriage? How do you get that in all? How? Because, like I said, I'm on the bigger side right now, bigger than I've ever been, and I'm like, I don't think I could fit into a normal bathtub. I'd have to, use the soap on each side to get myself back out. When we were on vacation, my husband was like, why don't we go to the water slides? I'm like, fuck, I'd get stuck in one of those tubes, and they'd have to get a big-ass plunger and, suck me back out like a turd in the tubes. I could not go to a water park. I am on that side of fat, but that, was that her name? Was that the Christina with the big fat one? And then NA isn't thin either. So as soon as my mind goes, well, maybe I should get some of that Rive stuff and put some stickers on myself to lose some weight. I'm like, you know what? Look. It wasn't making any of them lose weight. And then I'm like, you know what? I could maybe just do a little bit of the Dray McRae diet, but not to the point where my lymph nodes are sticking out. Just a little, just anything in moderation. I've got to do something in moderation. I'll lose some fat. Because I am large and in charge right now, and I don't, it just doesn't look good on my frame. I'm only 5 foot tall. I can't carry this 592 pounds around, Oh, anyway. Don't do what Dray does, even if you're like me and you want to lose some weight. We got to find just a little, maybe just a nice little way to just do a little bit of something in moderation, because you don't want to end up like Vaughn, okay? Because she's crazy, and maybe that's what's just propelling her around. And so anyway, there's this whole other component. This is where you have the Molly Golightly and all of the other people fighting, and the Katie Joy and all of that. They are fighting because when he had gotten in the coma, she decided not to tell anybody for a month. So she lived on the internet just like SW lived on the freaking internet, right? So she lives on the freaking internet. And she's not done anything for the paparazzi, not for her makeup channel. She's missing for a month, and that is so not like her. So she comes back up, and, and everybody's like, oh my God, where have you been? She's like, well, Vonnie has been in an accident, and everything is going to be just fine. Jehovah has it. Jehovah has everything, and he just needs a little extra time to heal, and I am in no hurry. Who needs to hurry? Jehovah's going to heal my man. And, I mean, that sounds reasonable. Why wouldn't, an accident, he's a Marine. Okay. We're all just thinking, maybe a little car accident, maybe he fell down some stairs or whatever. Well, finds out, it turns out the freaking man's in a vegetative state and has been for a month. Okay. So his family finds out, and his birth mom says, I want to come and visit him. I've got to go and see my boy. And pretend Dr. Dray McRae in her role right now with her clomping shoes and hand eating is like, no, I am his doctor and I will decide who comes and visits him. And so she would not let anybody visit him. And because she is his legal next of kin, unfortunately, she had that control. I mean, that is unfortunate because I believe that there's not enough love that you can give a person. It's not like, oh, they have like this love meter that you're like, I can't have any more love right now, and a little bit more love is gonna make me implode. And especially if you're in a freaking coma, if he is dying and she wants to, whisper in his ear the apologies that she wants to say for not being able to be there when he was a kid and whatever, you know what, you people out there just don't understand that there are circumstances that isn't it better that she didn't do some of the things that some of these horrible people do? She let her mom, or the paternal, I'm not sure if it's her mom or the dad's mom, but he was raised by a grandma that loved him. So what? Why villainize this woman? And so Dray villainized this woman, and she's got her whole Slay with Dray Slayers mafia coming and saying, yeah, she wasn't there, and she's called her an egg donor as opposed to a mom and whatever. Well, Molly, because Molly Golightly has money, she can help people in situations that other people can't, and so she gave money to help the mom Letitia come up, and she got there and Dre wouldn't allow it. She said nope. And it is on film. She filmed herself getting security and not letting them visit. And the dad came up too, and the dad had his new wife with him, and she wouldn't let the dad see him. And I don't know how that all resolved. I have heard both ways, that she did let the dad see him for a minute or whatever, but wouldn't let the mom after she traveled all this way. And so that's what the fighting is going back and forth about, because I guess that the Katie, the Without a Crystal Ball or whatever her name is, feels that Molly shouldn't have interfered with family matters, and MGL is like, hey, look, I'm with the family. So all of this is going on. So when you hear all this going on the interweb and whatnot, you are now well informed as to what is going on. You're welcome. It's my duty to do so. And that's where right now, I mean, he's been in a coma for, like 3 months maybe? And if they let her try and take care of him in the home, it's not good, because she's like in a mobile home right now, because they're in Tucson. I think they're going between Tucson and Phoenix. I don't know. She's got a mobile home, and it's just, the girls are in one area of it, and Raza just, it's so sad. It's just so sad. He's just ignored, and she's making the weird food. I did see like a confirmation that Child Protective Services was involved, and they were looking at the situation. So you have to say that there are bigger people involved and looking at the situation. All right. So now you're all caught up with the Dray McRae hullabaloo, if you will. And let me see here. Oh yeah. She's just like SW, because she was saying that she has fibromyalgia. And she said that before she started taking the KT that rhymes with Radom, she was taking gabapentin, Norcos, and Flexeril. And because she went on this diet and cut out everything alkaline, no meat, no eggs, no nothing, no sugar, no anything for her and the kids. That she was able to cut all of those out and go with the tea, but she gives a code for her tea and whatnot, so she gets a kickback. So, I don't know. And then on the next chapter of Skanks That Shouldn't Have Bred, that nasty, 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 nasty bitch, nasty Megan Boswell. I don't even know. Okay, so Megan Boswell was a teen mother. Okay, she was 16 when she got pregnant. 17 when she had her baby. Okay. There's a lot of people who sit there and try and say, well, because she was a teen mom, she did this. Fuck that. Don't you ever believe that. No. Mary, Jesus' mother, was like 14, okay? And she didn't do any of this. I mean, people in the pioneer days, if you didn't have a child by 14, you were a weirdo, maybe even a spinster. I mean, our bodies were made to have kids when we were young. They really were. If you look at all the people that are having infertility, they're not 16. I mean, no. So anyway, nasty ass Megan Boswell. And she is, you guys know, the gypsies that were on My Big Fat American Gypsy Wedding and the spin-offs, My Gypsy Sisters and all of that good stuff, named Boswell. Oh yeah, she's from that Boswell clan. She's a Boswell. This is a gypsy. She is a relative to basically all of them, cousin to this one, cousin to that one, blah 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 blah, right? Well, that's nasty bitch. In March of 2020. So let's see here. The grandpa had not seen his granddaughter. And so he says, look, Megan, where is my grandbaby? I've not seen her since the day after Christmas. Where is she? And she's 13 months old, cute little baby. Well, trigger warning on this one, guys. Just trigger warning. Trigger warning. We've been waiting a long time to hear cause of death in this one, and we got it in the last 2 days as the trial is finally underway. Grandpa reports the baby missing. Baby would have been 13 months when the last time that he saw him. Baby. Megan says, well, my boyfriend rolled over on her when we were like sleeping, he like hadn't been around babies and stuff, and so he rolled over on her. Well, the boyfriend, I believe he's also a Marine. Here we are having that repeating theory. The boyfriend, Hunter, has never met baby Evelyn. Baby Evelyn Boswell. It's like he was questioned and whatnot, and nothing shows that he had ever even met her, let alone rolled over and killed her. Okay? And so then she says, well, I gave her to her dad. Yeah, her dad has her. Bio dad. I think his name was Evan. Was it Evan? Sorry, it's been a while since this story. It's been pushed out for so long because of the pandemic and whatnot. And it's just infuriating because there's no justice for Evelyn. So the dad is like, you did not give my baby to me. And so then she says, I gave her to my mom, and my mom won't give her back to me because I owe her money. And so then my mom went and she went and sold my baby. And yeah, that's what happened. And I mean, she was the Casey Anthony on crack. She went and would just lie about everything. Nothing that she said was ever true. The dad's name, Ethan. That's it. Ethan Prairie. Ethan Perry. Ethan Perry. Okay. So, dad doesn't have, bio dad, Ethan Perry doesn't have the baby. The boyfriend, Hunter, never met the baby. Grandma says, no, you did not give me the baby, and I did not go and sell the baby, you dumb fuck. And so, every time that the news would come around, they're like, where is baby Evelyn? Where is baby Evelyn Boswell? It was this big thing. Everybody's like, where is this sweet baby? What did you do? And she's laughing every time she's on the news conferences and stuff. She's just laughing. She's like, I don't know. I mean, I gave her to that. Oh, I did this. I did that. I did that. I did this. I did that. And then when the police got to her, and things were getting real serious, she's like, okay, well, here's the truth. Yeah, she's not alive. She's not alive. My new boyfriend rolled over on her. And they're like, okay, well, where is she now? Oh, I don't know. I forgot where I put her. That kind of stuff, right? Nothing made sense. And she's just sitting there laughing and saying this. And I think she's pregnant. I think she was pregnant again by then. I think she was pregnant in some of those news conferences. But it was one of those things where you're like, how serious is this? It was a total Kaylee Anthony thing. But the way that Megan was on the cameras, you almost didn't think that there was an actual issue because she was laughing it off saying, she's fine. And you don't have the parents really coming forward like Cindy Anthony did, where Cindy was like, no, I'm going to put your ass in jail until you come forth. I mean, the family had reported her missing, and that's what they had done, but they weren't really coming forth and saying, help us find this baby. So all you've got Megan out there, and she is laughing and, being, now that we know what happened, she's being very inappropriate. So they did find her, and they found her on Megan's father's property. Okay. Now, again, trigger warning. Don't listen to this. If you can't, okay, this just came out in the last 2 days because they were concealing this information to keep the jury pool untainted. So they found the baby. So we know that. We know that they found the baby in March 2020. So at that point, Evelyn was buried alive when she was 13 months old. She was found 2 months later when she would have been 15 months old, but we now know that she passed away at 13 months old. That snatch, Megan Boswell has been charged with 19 counts. It's not enough. 1 charge of aggravated child abuse, 2 felony murder counts, tampering with evidence, abuse of a corpse, failure to report an unnatural death, and 12 counts of false reports, okay? She did her little Casey Anthony lying to the cop thing on 12 different occasions that they can point to. Okay? Now, she tried to get a new attorney. She got in a fight with her attorney last week because they couldn't even get ready for this. And I mean, Evelyn was found March of 2020. So we are going on 2.5 years right now to even get the pretrial conferences going. And so she wanted to play around and get a new attorney so that, because a new attorney would buy another year, they figure. It would take another year to get everything ready for a trial. And so the judge was like, why do you have this motion for a new attorney? And she was like, I got to fight with him. And he's like, yeah, well, you're going to fight with your attorney. I don't see it as a big enough issue. If the issues continue, let me know. Because the attorney was like, look, this is where we weren't seeing eye to eye. I'm trying to get her ready. She doesn't feel that this is it, where she needs to be, blah, 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 blah. I'm trying to resolve and trying to find a better way to communicate with her. I don't feel that we're to a point where she's not being adequately represented. And the judge agreed. Okay. So she didn't win there. Little spoiled bitch didn't win there, which is good. Okay. It's good. So they brought in, they did not want the cause of death. They knew that Evelyn had been found in this, it's like an old shed. Here comes another shed thing. That was on Megan's dad's property. It was where Megan and her cousin used to play. It was their playhouse. The dad had made it as like a playhouse. It's described as like a wooden shed. Okay, and that's where baby Evelyn was found. They waited to release cause of death until they were to this point where they're getting ready to go to trial. So, I think Megan is now 19. She's 19. And the medical examiner came through with all of the pictures and again, trigger warning, go if you don't want to hear this. The defense did not want these pictures shown of how Evelyn was found. The judge had to see. And they're horrible. They're just horrible. The way they're described is horrible. They got about 50% of the pictures that are there approved for the jury to see. And that's kind of where the defense and prosecution decided to rest, is that, okay, about 50% they're going to go with that because some of the pictures are just too gruesome. And the defense argued that they don't want the jurors to see many of these pictures because they're so horrible it will cause an emotional reaction. And they will determine her fate based on their emotional reaction rather than the law. Well, what do you expect? What do you expect? Okay, that's the way that it should be. These are the truth and the facts. And here you go, trigger warning. You want to know what happened to this poor baby girl? This nasty fucking snatch. She took the very, very alive baby, 13-month-old baby, and wrapped a blanket around her face so tight that her facial features were all flattened. And then tied it around her neck. She then wrapped tin foil, around her head several times, as tight as could be. And then she put her in a garbage bag, tied the garbage bag. Shoved her down, upside down in a garbage can so hard. Upside down. Crushed her neck, putting her neck backwards. She's alive through all this, folks. She's alive. She was found in a fetal position with her head all the way, her neck all the way extended, so her head was almost to her back. So she was found in a distorted S position. Her knees were to her chest, as she was wrapped so tight. That's another form of asphyxiation. It's called being burked. I'll talk to you guys about that on another I remember another case about being burked. So the medical examiner said that this was a 4-prong, that there were 4 different ways that baby Evelyn was asphyxiated. Again, she was buried alive. This bitch did this to a living, breathing, crying, screaming baby. And wants to just go and laugh and live her life and think that everything's so funny and have America be like, oh, well, she's a young mom. She just can't keep track of her kids. No, this is what she did. And there is no excuse. She is not young. She's stupid and she's a conniving fucking cunt and deserves to die in the exact same way that her daughter did. So, her trial was rescheduled, and it will begin February 6, 2023. She has avoided trial for 2 years thanks to the pandemic. So watch that trial, folks. Watch that nasty, nasty bitch. I mean, she's in jail now. I mean, I hope that now that these details have came out that that her stay on the taxpayer's dime is not pleasant. And now to conclude our episode. The videos that I posted on my community page, and if you can't find my community page, which people said that there is a problem finding it, I'm not sure how it looks on your computer, if you're on a computer or a phone, but you go to my channel and then you go and you click on the Tabitha Jane, and you go to the main part and it'll say videos or whatnot. And then you go to community, and that's where this community page is. And I post something every day. It's kind of my way to let you guys know what I'm researching, what I'm thinking of, other details in which stories that I've talked about, or if there's somebody missing or something that, is news breaking about another big story. I put that on my community page for you guys. And they only last 24 hours apparently, and I guess you cannot see them. On my end, it shows, so I can still see everything that I posted, and I thought that's the way it was for you guys, but it's not. So I posted all 4 episodes of the Dirty South show. The Dirty South 11 years ago was very much making a lifestyle. It was essentially, as one commenter said, they said this is kind of like her MLM. Yeah, very much so. Hashem at that point was like, you know what? I'm going to take the Dirty South to the next level. It is not about just cars and tricking out your ride and everything and getting the alarms and everything and making your ride look all pimped out. This is a lifestyle, and he's going to have the music for the Dirty South, and he's going to have the clothing for the Dirty South, and he's going to have the package. It is the lifestyle. And that's where our little friend Hot Ham Radio found that little tidbit about, I think that the lifestyle included that Glass House Gentlemen's Club that doesn't seem to have a physical address, but it is a something where somebody knows somebody who gives a number to somebody who gives a number to somebody. And it's that lifestyle. It's that Dirty South lifestyle. And the Queen of the Dirty South, yeah. We see the picture of her in the Escalade, so it comes out that, oh yeah, well, she had an Escalade and everything, and I even said she had an Escalade because I had heard that that was hers. I'm sure it was part of the business. I don't think it was actually hers. Because in episode 2 of the Dirty South Customs show, it shows that Escalade. And maybe they're like, you know what, hey, let's put your house in the back and that, and your car in it and everything, or maybe she got it and then she had it all tricked and everything, and it's part of the promo, but I don't really see it being hers, but I don't know. Makes me wonder. But I really see that who she was who she became. Because who she was Queen of the Dirty South. And she was everything, and she loved it. She loved every moment of being on top and having that money and making that money and having everybody think that she had climbed to the top of the glass ceiling or the glass house, that everybody wanted to be her. That she walked into that workplace and who wanted to talk to the men? They wanted to talk to her. And she made everything happen. And the guys would go and fill out all the paperwork and stuff. But she was the pony in that dog and pony show. She was everything. It was everything she ever wanted. And when she had to leave town because of the little embezzlement snafu. And when she said she had lupus and everything so that no one would put her in jail, everything was going fine. She'd hid for a couple of years. But she couldn't stand it. She was bored. She was bored being a housewife. She didn't want this life. She didn't want that life. She was bored. She was lonely. So when she started seeing those advertisements for that MLM that was the same world that she knew, and it was a world that she could get by using everything that she had learned from marketing from the dirty South. She put everything that she knew together in one and started being that. And as long as she could hope every day to get to one more of those vacations, she was happy. How did she become happy? By putting the girls away. They needed to go on their little shelf because she was done with them. Because, as she said, she needed time to put on her makeup and do her hair. And because they were locked up for 15 hours out of 24 or sleep trained, she was a better mom. And she could be a better mom. And she could work on her thrive shit. And she could love bomb at people and love bomb at them. And she could dream and she could plan about when she could go out of town again. And here, folks, bombshell tonight. Bombshell tonight. Go look at the community page. I'm going to post this. I am going to post a picture that is going to be the bombshell tonight. Ready? The vacation that she went on in April to New Orleans, April of 2018. She was wearing that leopard dress, and she said that leopard dress never let her down. She was in her element. She was happy. She was thriving. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, she was. She had that glow about her. The next day after she was pictured with CM, she had that glow like no filter we can put on that after sex glow. When everything in your body's been shaken up, all your lymph nodes and blood and everything have been just rocked. That, my friends, is the estimated date of conception. Oh, yes, my friends. Let's go here. The fetus was 14 to 16 weeks old in the end of August. That means she conceived the baby in April. Where was she? She was in NOLA, New Orleans. Who didn't come with her? Her husband. She got pregnant by Chris. But it wasn't Watts. No. Yeah. Think about it. Go backwards with the dates. That's when the baby was conceived. Now here's your other bombshell. And my little forensic nurse friend thinks the same. If she had not been to a doctor, had not had an ultrasound, had not had any blood drawn, There was no way that she could have known it was a boy. She had a 50-50 chance of saying it was a boy or a girl because she wanted to get Chris to stay and parent another child that may or may or not have been his. Oh, yeah. You heard what I said. She said it was a boy to manipulate him, to get him to think, oh, but if it's a boy, I can have my boy and I can have somebody to play ball with. Because she was training the girls to emasculate him. You listen to the pie in the face video and you hear her mother grumbling and oh yeah, go get it in his get that in his face. Yeah, that's humiliation. That's another form of degradation. Her mom had taught her to emasculate men like she had her own husband or SW's dad. He chose to drink to deal with it. Chris didn't want to drink. He didn't want to become an addict. He wanted to become a better father. And if that meant that he had to work out at the gym, well, he'd work out at the gym. And she put stickers on him so that he could be a better father and do what she said. But when she went out of town without him, she got pregnant. When she had not been to the doctor in a year, there's no way that she could have known that was a boy. That ultrasound that they floated around, that was not from that pregnancy. While she was in North Carolina, it was well known that she was separating from Chris. She wrote in the text that she was thinking of aborting that baby. This was not a happily married couple. This was a couple that was separating and going toward divorce. If she slept with another man and she was pregnant with another man's baby, where does this whole dialogue go about this man that went and had an affair when his little wife went to go and visit her parents? How does the dialogue go that this woman was pregnant with another man's baby and he lost his shit? Just doesn't fit in the headlines that she is the victim and it's this wonderful family that they can make all of this money on because finally they had this all-white, all-American family that they could make all of this money on and continue that patriarchal bullshit that if you don't behave right as a woman, the man will kill you and the kids. It's done. It's over. Those headlines need to stop. That's why YouTube is famous right now and doing everything that mainstream media couldn't. When we want to know more of the story, we go to YouTube and we Google what we are looking for. The viewpoint we're looking for. And we find the answers. We go to Google when we want more answers, but we're not going to wait until some TV show tells us what they needed to make to get their advertisers to approve so that they can make the money. We're tired of that. So I'm going to put up a picture. Some people believe that CC is not biologically a Watts. My friend, my little forensic nurse friend, sent me a collage with a picture of Cece and the picture of the man who may be the other father. It's compelling. It's compelling. And if you look at the nature of Bella and Cece and how different they are, it's compelling. If you look at how Chris Watts wanted Cheryl and Cradlecrap to listen to him and to go and look at the Bible story about how God wanted Homer to still love Gomer, even though she would go and cheat on him repeatedly and have children that were not made from his sperm? What would this look like? Was he suspecting that Cece wasn't his? Not that that justifies what happened. But what they say happened didn't happen, and it's time for the whole story to come out. Who doesn't want this story to come out? Why are people lying? I don't get it. But when she tried to tell him that she was pregnant, and he's like, "Oh, that's a nice Britney Spears shirt. What? Who did it again? What? Who did what? Oh, I guess when you're not, actually having sex with each other, it happens." Because he knew. He was like, "Bitch, I haven't laid you in months. And you're not the Virgin Mary." She conceived in April. The pictures I'm going to put up of her in April on my community page, she was electric. She was on fire. Why? Why was she so happy then? And those girls and her husband at home didn't make her feel that way. Why did she look so depressed and look like a muppet and just, trying to talk about this and how she wants to have a drama-free life and that she wants this. She's over on the couch and here he's over on the floor playing with Bella. Cece's running around back and forth and allowed to just run back and forth. But if Bella dared to try and make one stray move, she'd be yelled at. Because she's sitting on the couch talking about what she wants everybody to hear her life is. And I'm telling you, in German and in English, all of these people are in the comments going, "Oh my God, I feel her. I feel her spirit. She was just a lady who loved to help other people. This poor lady that loved to go and help other people. This poor, innocent, beautiful lady who wanted to go and help other people." Remember, she was selling something. So, put the language in for a car dealer's, a slimy, greasy car dealership man. Imagine that. So if this car dealer man who sold all of these lemons, who made everybody go bankrupt because the car that they were sold didn't work, was he just trying to help everybody? And he was such a nice, handsome man who just wanted to help everybody by selling them a pile of shit? Because that's what she did. She sold something that is bunk, doesn't work, may or may not be a form of legal METH, for a lot of money. And she made her parents and his parents and everybody else pay to be on it too, because then that was all paying for her to be able to go on vacations. And on those vacations is when she became the real Queen of the Dirty South. Because that's fundamentally who she was. The problem with that is that it cost innocent little girls their lives. How? Well, we're trying to figure out exactly how that fits. You play with fire, you're going to get burned. Fuck around and find out. You see her at that MLM. Loving everybody and filming everybody and in everybody's face with the camera. You just look at it and you're like, wait Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Who's that guy sitting down by her? Who's that guy next to her? Holy shit, he looks like Cece. Oh my God. Does he look like Cece though, or does he look like her? Because this other guy looks like her. They kind of look like they could be brother and sister weasel faces. Because they kind of look like weasels. They kind of do. They kind of look like weasels. I don't know. You got to see it. And you can say, no, it's just that they look like each other. That maybe Frankie fathered CM. It's possible. It's possible. Happened to me. I was doing my 23andMe, and I'm the oldest daughter. I've told you guys all about that. And my dad was, barely 18 when he impregnated my 16-year-old mother. So imagine my surprise when I got my 23andMe and found out that I have an older brother. Yeah. I was like, what the hell? So, my father, the Italian stallion in the 70s, apparently impregnated some girl, and she was probably some girl who got sent to one of those homes and adopted him out. And I called him, and he said, he did the 23andMe for his girlfriend, and he doesn't have any desire to know anything about his bio family or anything. He was raised by a wonderful adoptive family, and thanks for calling. Goodbye. And it's really weird because my dad wanted a boy more than anything in his life. And yes, you guys should. Oh, that's why you were telling that story about the. Yes, it is. But no. He didn't get a boy. He wanted a boy so bad. He took me to every baseball game, everything, just. He wanted a boy so bad, and he didn't know that he had actually fathered a boy. He does now that he's in heaven and everything, but what if that other CM, maybe that's why CM just looks like Cece so much. Maybe Frankie Roo was, because they're both from North Carolina. It could be, right? Yeah, sure. We'll just say that. That's why he looks so much like Cece. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Right now. What you guys think about that? And we're going to wrap it up with our reading from our book, because I had to stop the other night because it was getting a little late. And so I'm going to read the other half of chapter 6 because it really did fall in so well. And it goes more into how that, comes into the definition. And so I wanted to get to the rest of chapter 6. And here we go without further ado. And thank you for listening. And make sure to be watching that community post of mine, because I'm going to be putting up some stuff. And when somebody emails me something and somebody helps me think of things, I can't say, oh, this is my idea, or, oh, one of the, the Bobs said this to me or whatever, or, it was just in my email. I don't feel right, not giving them credit. So when I talk about, oh, this little person or this little person or this little person, it's just because, everybody wants their anonymity because of the fucking trolls and everything. But just know that, I don't want to take credit for something I didn't find myself. But I love my little friends that I can go when I think of something and kind of bounce it back off of them. And they're like, oh, yeah. So, I want to go to, so we went to this page here, and we are reading from the book Patricia Evans. And we are talking about disconnection. And our book is called Controlling People: How to Recognize, Understand, and Deal with People Who Try to Control You, by Patricia Evans. And so I'm going to go back to that last little paragraph and maybe even a page behind, just to kind of get us back. Because we go, all disconnection is a matter of degree. The following are some examples of how children may be trained to narrow their experience and limit their awareness by being defined backwards. And that's kind of how, SW was really defined backwards. A girl may be defined as delicate, and a boy may be defined as a little toughy. A girl may be defined as feminine only when she doesn't run, jump, or climb. A boy may be defined as masculine only if he runs, jumps, and climbs. In childhood, we depend upon others to reflect our personal experience back to us. We learn to describe and accept it when it is accurately named by another. For example, it looks like you're hurt. Let's see, with empathy. It gives a name and a meaning to our experience, and we can then give it a conscious thought. Otherwise, we would not know what to think of our experience. We might even experience mistreatment as normal. A client who wasn't disconnected from himself but was very sad made sense of his feelings when he understood how his parents, being both verbally and physically abusive to him, had controlled him. Although he hadn't known that he was abused, he had never been dissuaded from his feelings. Unlike Jack, he stayed connected to himself, even to his sadness. His was an extreme case. He had been so isolated in childhood that he hadn't known what, if anything, had been wrong. Not having had a place to stand apart to gain perspective to see what was wrong, 30 years after the fact, he said, "I'm only just beginning to realize about the way I grew up." "How's that?" I asked. "That it wasn't right the way I was brought up. I wasn't allowed in the house. I slept in the shed. I did the work, and I was the only child. How could I have known anything different? I thought it was normal." I know I've got a lot of healing to do, but my heart's been touched. I can't describe the feeling. I know I can love, and I know I am loved, so I know I'll get to the place where I will know myself. Besides being trained to disconnect, a person may try to disconnect. Now, what is trying to disconnect? When a child is constantly defined by a parent, he or she endures an ongoing sense of rejection. Because this abuse is so painful and the child's need to be accepted is so great, he or she may attempt to gain the rejecting parent's love and acceptance by emulating his or her behavior. If this occurs, the child will try not to feel, not only to escape his painful feelings of total rejection, but also to be acceptable to the parent who doesn't show feelings or who puts down people who do show them. A male child will be more inclined to emulate those men who don't show emotions, like the ones in movies and on television who seem to never cry. Similarly, if he is told intuition is a girl thing, he will try to ignore his intuition. He will also look to his father for approval of his manliness, and so try not to notice the physical pain if his father doesn't seem to notice it. In this way, children try to disconnect themselves from the information they would receive from their feeling, intuitive, and sensate functions. Even as adults, these patterns usually persist, and the person so afflicted continues to lose awareness. I once talked with a man who asked very seriously, "What is the difference between pain and anger?" He had called for help with his temper because he realized that he yelled at his wife, putting her down when she talked on the phone, worked at her bookkeeping, or did anything that kept her from giving him attention right when he wanted it. He was so disconnected from himself that he was unable to feel the pain of his loss when she was unavailable to him. He was clearly a man who had never been allowed to grieve his losses in childhood. As a matter of fact, the only feeling he seemed to be able to identify was anger. Now, a little side note here. Can we see how SW was telling Cece that she was this, little hyper ball of energy and just always so wild, and she never got a break from her. And then she was telling Bella that, "Oh, Bella, you're sick. Your foot hurts. You can't jump. Don't jump." Yeah, you can watch Cece do it because she's a ball of energy and everything. But you're sick. Do you see how what she was doing by defining them, because she was so defined, because she wasn't able to be who she really wanted to be, because of her own behavior? But she wants to blame others for defining herself. So she goes and defines others. And she was defining everybody in that house to give them roles that were not theirs, so that then they could be a part in her big commercial to sell things, which made her be able to go on the vacations when she could go and escape reality and go into the fake bullshit MLM love bombing, fake. Everybody's so happy. Everybody's so wonderful. And you can fucking love anybody while you're on these MLM vacations because it's all about that high. And then you come back to reality and you lock your kids up. Miserable as fuck until you can pretend that you've sold enough stuff to go on another vacation. Fucked up if you ask me, but anyway. Here we are. Aside from training to disconnect, trying to disconnect, and specific biological losses of mental capability due to disease or injury, we may lose awareness through trauma. Trauma and disconnection. When our feelings or sensations are very painful, we may disconnect from them. That is, have no conscious experience of them. This can occur in an automatic way when we are severely emotionally traumatized by an unbearable event, one that comes out of nowhere. In this case, the emotional impact is an assault to our psyche and is more than we can process. We may only recall bits and pieces of the traumatic event. Over time, most events can be integrated and we can cope with the reality of what has happened. But if we suffer frequent traumas, we may feel disorganized, stirred up inside, or dismantled whenever we are reminded of the incident. Girls are not often trained to lose awareness. Girls are not often trained to lose awareness of their feeling, sensate, intuitive, and thinking functions because our culture allows girls and women to use all of their functions. Except for Bella. They are allowed to have feelings. Except for Bella. Being able to cry and experience and express feelings is even thought of by many as not just a human attribute, but as a feminine one. Except for Bella. Likewise, females are usually allowed a wide range of sensate experiences. Except for Bella. They are aware of the delicate and complex sensations and attend to the pain of bruises and blows. They are allowed to be intuitive. Additionally, they are encouraged to use their intellect, thinking function. In fact, more women than men are entering college in the United States these days. Consequently, girls are not as likely as boys to try to lose awareness. When women are disconnected, the knife that severs them from themselves is usually one of trauma. Sharp and yet so lasting that it can hardly have cut quickly or cleanly. Of course, men, too, often suffer this depth of trauma. After serving in wars, for instance, they often experience periodic trauma throughout their lives. Cultural mandates to disconnect. Our sense of self develops naturally throughout our lives, but this process may be restricted by our cultural beliefs. The people with whom you come into contact with and the culture in which you live, its stories, myths, intuitions, dogmas, and traditions may subtly define you, just as if anyone but you, knew who you were and how you should be. Disconnection gets the upper hand in many people's lives. Some people not only have lost their connections to their feelings, sensations, and intuitions through training, trying, and trauma, but also have fallen under the influence of collective values, traditions, and expectations that foster disconnection. This mandate to disconnect has developed in two primary ways. First, to bring about civilization in the world, people have had to focus outside themselves to attend the community needs in the world around them. Consequently, they paid little or no attention to their inner experience, have even lost touch with it. I'm recording! I tell you, these people don't have time for my stardom. Second, some people under the influence of cultural expectations have learned to tune out their inner experience. Booboo, were you naughty? Booboo, come here. What are you doing? Booboo, what did you do? Were you naughty again? Booboo. Booboo. Booboo's been having a little problem and he keeps pooping at the front door. I don't know why. He's a 3-year-old cat. He knows better. He did this the last time when another cat, a tomcat, was marking in the outside, and I smell another cat marking, and of course mine is fixed and mine is inside, but people who don't control their cats. So apparently the shit that he just let down there is gagging everybody. And apparently I need to stop what I'm doing because I'm the mom and I have to go and clean up the cat shit that everybody's down there gagging from. Boo-boo. What did you do, Boo? So at this point, I'm going to have to stop recording and everything. This is why I record at 3 a.m. So I don't have to deal with my my family and cat shit. All right, then. I will just wrap things up here and go and clean up the cat shit. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.